My amplified unit, welcome to the Amped Up Podcast for Wednesday, September 18, 2024. A very special Amped Up Podcast. I actually was able to catch NXT last night, at least most of it, damn near in totality. Thus, you guys are going to get an NXT review in this upload. So even if you didn't catch the show, grab your bevy, kick back, max, and relax as BC dishes out some NXT talk. Some interesting things. CM Punk, man, he ignited the fire last night. And Rok-C ignited the fire to CM Punk. And why now we have to see AJ Lee. I'll talk all about that, the NXT review, a special NXT review in this amped upload. We're also going to talk a big, possible, it's not confirmed, but a big debut is possibly planned for Bad Blood and why this is not good for Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns. And after the big Sheamus announcement yesterday, several more talents expected to re-sign with the WWE in the form of extensions. I'll give you guys a teaser. They're all from the women's division. And we're going to talk how this could lead, there's a possibility anyway, that this could lead to Becky Lynch leaving the company. We'll talk about it. And I have the Raw rating. BC is going to show you how Monday Night Football, the NFL, does not affect professional wrestling like many would believe. I have numbers to back that up. And speaking of numbers, the new TV deal for AEW. We're going to go over some numbers that are floating around and why some see this as a success, others see this as an absolute failure. You have to keep in mind, you can't compare what AEW is getting in their TV deal to WWE. It's not fair. WWE is going to absolutely clobber AEW in TV deals. Right now, Tony Khan is just trying to make a profit when it's all said and done. So if you're going to call the new TV deal a failure, just keep that in mind. But we'll go over the numbers. I do not believe that this is what Tony Khan wanted, and that's why this took so long. You got to believe he was looking for a certain number. I'll tell you what that was, or what I believe it is. And we'll talk about what the actual number that is being talked about, what AEW actually got. So that's going to be a good discussion as well. So there's a lot to get into. I say we do it right now. Huge swig of coffee. You guys, if you don't mind, smash that up. All the buttons down below, the subscriptions, the notifications, just smash it all. Support the channel. BC, appreciate you very much. Let BC know you're fully amplified while also helping out that algorithm. I'm going to get a huge swig of coffee. Come right on back. We're going to start the Amped Up Podcast for Wednesday, 9/18/24. Let's do this. And I guess we'll start off with the big possible debut at Bloodline of Hiku. Long-awaited debut for many of us. And there is internal talk of bringing Hiku in for Bad Blood. Not official, but that is the internal talk, so it's worth the discussion. The only thing you would have to really highlight is how you bring him in. I know the most obvious decision is to just make him a part of the new bloodline, right? Come in as a heel. Join forces with Solo, Jacob Fatu, Gorillas of Destiny. But what if they decide to have him as an ally of Roman Reigns? What if Roman Reigns brought in Hiku? I do think that's an interesting twist. I don't know, because if he debuts at Bad Blood, you could easily insert him into War Games alongside Roman. If you're going traditional 5-on-5, who gets Das Boot, though? Right, let's fantasy book a little bit. Let's say Hiku is a face, an ally of Roman. Roman brought in Hiku, not Solo. And he is going to participate at War Games Survivor Series. It's a traditional 5-on-5. Then who is off of Team Roman? Because initially you would think Roman Reigns, Jimmy and Jay, Sami Zayn, Cody Rhodes, right? Because Cody he's only involved with the Bloodline and Roman. And after Bad Blood, there'll only be 1 month away from War Games. What are you going to do with Cody Rhodes? Whether you're tired of this or not, I hear you. But Cody has to keep playing with the Bloodline, right? There's nothing else you can do. Unless you do something weird like he just hands one of his buddies a title shot like he did with Kevin Owens. We get 30 days of weird build of Kevin not even understanding how he has this title shot. They have a good match. They shake hands and it was all for nothing. I think Cody has to stay in this weird Bloodline thing through War Games. But that would already be a team of 5. Cody, Roman, Sami, Usos. So if Hikuleo does take one of their spots, who gets das boot? That's just fantasy booking if they bring him in as a face. Now, if they go with what many believe is the obvious choice, just bring him in as a heel. He's another enforcer next to Jacob Fatu. My thing is, are you clogging the Bloodline and you're just making all of these characters irrelevant? Guerrillas of Destiny, unfortunately, are already just they're like the stooges of the group, right? They're the two that always take the whooping from the Randy Ortons or the Kevin Owenses or the Cody Rhodeses, right? They're the dudes you have to go through as the obstacles to get to Solo or to get to Jacob Fatu. So if they bring in Hikuleo, they already are priming Jacob Fatu to be the next guy. Is Hikuleo just going to be another member of Guerrillas of Destiny, basically? Right? Just another obstacle to get to the main course. You're the appetizer to get to the steak. You're the salad. You're the breadsticks. And you got to get through them, and they get beat looking up at the lights on a random SmackDown, and then you earn an opportunity to Jacob Fatu. I don't know. You got to do this right, man. Hikuleo is a really good talent. He could bring a lot of value to this company. He can't just be he shouldn't be just another spoke on the wheel. So it's going to be interesting to see if he does show up at Bad Blood or imminently, right before or right after. Who does he side with? A lot of people are already placing him with the heels, the new bootleg Bloodline. What if Roman brought him in to help out, right? He says he keeps it in the fam. You know, he doesn't even want to really do business storyline-wise with Cody Rhodes. What if he brings in Hikuleo? That'd be interesting. And by the way, for full transparency, for those that are not too familiar with Hikuleo, we talk about him as basically part of the family, the bloodline. He's not actually related to like Roman Reigns or the Usos. He is the brother of the Guerrillas of Destiny. Tonga Loa, Tama Tonga. He's their brother. Father is Hiku. Roman and them, they always looked at Hiku like their uncle, right? But it's not actual bloodline, if that makes sense. But they've always been considered such. So that's why you see Guerrillas of Destiny with Solo and Roman talking about them like it's, internal family business. So just wanted to, because a lot of people might not be too familiar with how every one of these dudes are related. Truth is, they're actually not. But they've always looked up to people like Hiku, for instance. And so they always they've been family. So just wanted to put that out there too, man. A little clarification. But yeah, interesting, man. I've been, he's been signed for a while now. We've been waiting, like, how are they going to do it? And I'm kind of glad they're waiting because you have to have a good plan, man. Because otherwise, he's just going to be another spoke in the bloodline wheel. And this version of Bloodline is just not doing it, right? The booking has drastically fallen off. And, it can't just have high points just when Roman's there. So hopefully Hikuleo can add a lot of value to this. I believe he can, but booking has to back him up. We'll see. Let's stick with the WWE. Let's go to the Raw rating. And I'm going to show you guys how Monday Night Football, it does not affect professional wrestling, Monday Night Raw, like a lot of people believe. So we'll talk that, because it's very interesting. So to start this Raw rating conversation, we first would have to go back 2 weeks ago when Monday Night Raw pulled a 1.6 semod, right? That's important because that was with no football competition, guys. There was no Monday Night Football. They went from the 1.8 to the 1.7 to a 1.6. This was all without football they were dropping, right? to a 1.6. The following week, Monday Night Football is back. It's their big season premiere, the opener, Aaron Rodgers, right? A lot of fans have convinced themselves that the NFL absolutely just crushes professional wrestling. Why bother even competing? Don't bother looking at the numbers. It's the NFL. What are they supposed to do, BC? Pro wrestling is doomed, right? Absolutely not. Nobody's expecting pro wrestling to beat the NFL these days, by the way. Obviously, pro wrestling is not as big, not as popular as it once was. Yes, in the Attitude Era, pro wrestling would smash NFL in the mug. It's a different time, I get it. But you absolutely put your best foot forward and you compete. So a 1-6 without football 2 weeks ago. Aaron Rodgers is then back. It's the season premiere of Monday Night Football. And WWE pulled a 1-4 semod. They went down approximately 200,000 viewers. Everybody blamed that 200,000 on football. But if you look at the trajectory of WWE Raw, they were losing viewers without Monday Night Football. So I'm not going to give you the full 200,000. Maybe I'll give you $1.50 because it's Aaron Rodgers, it's the season premiere. But they went from a 1-6 without football to a 1-4. This week, WWE Raw pulled in a 1.5 semod. 1.5. So they actually went up. They went up against football. So again, if you keep that same energy and you say it's football that is crushing Monday night's ratings for Raw, that's the reason Raw is not getting good ratings. Again, I ask you just to go to 2 weeks ago when they pulled a 1-6 with no football. This week, a 1-5 with football. So are you saying that 100,000 viewers is why WWE is helpless against football? Why even bother competing? They're going to lose 100,000 viewers anyway, BC. And with Aaron Rodgers in the season premiere of Monday Night Football, they lost 200. This is showing you that WWE Raw is just not captivating, whether there's football or not, NFL is on or not. Monday Night Raw is not doing it for the fan base. That's what it's telling us. Now, if you listen to my Raw review this week, we did it live yesterday. I was so glad I was able to find, after 6 attempts, able to go live. It was a really good review, and there was several segments back to back to back, 4 segments in a row that I actually enjoyed, captivated by. Maybe that's another story, but they were decent. Couple of them were good. That's a start. It could be the reason you got the 100,000 back and competed loosely. I'll put that in quotes. You're not getting the number NFL's getting, obviously, but competed in terms of with yourself against football. You know, get back to the 1-6 that you got when there was no football, for instance. That's what I mean by competing. So maybe because it was a little bit of a better show this week, you know, they gained viewers. With or without football, you have to put your best foot forward for your show. You can't just curl up in a ball because football is on. This show was a lot better than last week or the week before or the week before. And that's going to show in the ratings. When a show is decent to good, people are going to put the remote down more quickly, right? All right, this ain't bad. Oh, 2 segments in a row now. Oh, did you just see what Bronson and Braun did? You know, things like that help out. So when people say that NFL just clobbers professional wrestling and there's nothing they can do, I've been telling you guys for the years I've been creating content on this platform and talking pro wrestling with you guys. I told you can't just blame NFL for low ratings. It starts with the show, the enthusiasm for the show, the excitement for that show. Are fans captivated? Is it must-see TV or easily skippable TV? And that's where WWE has to do a lot better, man. Focus on what you're doing. Put together your best show imaginable. And you're going to pull the rating that you pull, man. NFL, what these numbers show us, guys. 1-6 with no competition. 1-4 with the season premiere with Aaron Rodgers. And they only went from the 1-6 to the 1-4. And then this week, they're back to a 1-5. They're within 100,000 viewers away from the same rating that they pulled with no football, with football. This is what I've always told you guys, and I never steer you guys wrong, man. Even when it's discussions that some fans don't want to have, or they don't want to believe it, or they don't agree with you, I'm always right on these conversations because I've done my research, man. You just look at the trends, the trajectories, the numbers, the metrics, the statistics, everything will provide the facts to tell us what is working and what is not. WWE can right now, even in 2024, with cord cutting, with streaming services, with everyone watching highlights the next day. WWE, trust me, these studies have already been done internally with Nielsen and those of the like. And it shows that something like pro wrestling should be pulling in 2.2 to 2.4, bare minimum. 2.2 to 2.4 in 2024. There's no excuse to pull in 1.6 without any big competition like football. Nothing. It shows you that they are off the pace between 600,000 to 800,000 viewers. Why? And again, that's bare minimum. If your show's really good, you can start talking 2.5 to 3 million viewers in 2024. They're well off the pace, guys. So every time I hear people go, oh, it's football, man, WWE's doomed, there's nothing they can do. They're just going to try to hold on tight until football's over, and then we're going to get a better WWE, BC. Guys, 1.6 without, 1.5 with. Stop. Do you guys finally see that WWE's ratings, they don't just hang on whatever football is doing. A pro wrestling audience, we learned this in the Attitude Era, man, when more people were watching wrestling than football. We learned that a pro wrestling audience wants to watch pro wrestling. Our last channel button, we'll flick that over to Monday Night Football on ESPN. Absolutely. During wrestling commercials, or if something exciting is happening on the game, we'll stay a little bit longer. Halftime for sure, halftime. Then you're switching over to wrestling. But we'll switch over. We'll have that on the last button channel. But last channel button. But a pro wrestling audience wants to watch professional wrestling, man. And these numbers prove it. I always say that when it's a discussion like that, what do the facts say? Our opinions not even BC's. My opinion, I take my opinion, I'll flush it down the toilet. I don't even care about my own opinion. The first thing I do is I look at the facts. What's working, what's not, what do the numbers tell us? So that's a huge conversation. When I saw that go up to the 1.5, I'm like, you're right next to the 1.6 you were pulling without it. So how is football crushed? If that's the case, then pro wrestling right now, this week, would be at a 1.112. 1.6 without, now football's back, right? You're telling me they're going to lose 400,000 to 500,000 viewers. That's what getting clobbered and crushed is, not 100,000 viewers. Interesting, 1.5 rating, right next to what they were pulling without football. And even at their high end, for those wondering, like when they were pulling in their high end numbers in the recent months, it was 1.718, guys. 1.7 to 1.8 was their high-end mark. That's what I mean. They just have to don't worry about NFL. Don't even talk NFL. Just focus on what you're doing. Your show, put out the best show imaginable, and then try to creep toward that 2 million. By then, you're already going to be on Netflix. But for those that think that numbers aren't going to matter once they go to Netflix, they're going to matter even more. Netflix spent a lot of money. We're about to talk about that in a second because we're going to talk AEW's TV deal. And a lot of people want to compare it for some reason with WWE. That's not even fair. That's not even fair. We'll talk about that. But Netflix paid a lot of money, and they're going to be looking at those streaming hours, right? They're going to be looking at the ad rep because there's going to be advertising. There's going to be commercials, guys, even though it's on a streaming service. Even though it's Netflix, if you think there's not going to be ads, think again. They're going to want to get a return on investment from all areas. They're going to try to get all that money back and then some. And they want to work with the right advertisers. They want enough advertisers. They want enough streaming hours. They're going to be looking at those numbers, man. And if Raw is not showing or not holding up their end of the bargain, do you guys realize that this is a 10-year deal with Netflix, but after 5, there's an opt-out clause? Do you know why Netflix put that in there? Because they saw what happened with Fox. They heard what the Fox vice president said. They don't feel that WWE gave them enough return on their investment. They don't feel like the deal worked out for them. By the time they left WWE, left Fox, they were at a 1.7 on broadcast television. Netflix was like, all right, we'll give you 5 up front, but we have the right to get the heck out of that deal after those 5 years. We'll actually talk about that in a minute. But that's... Numbers matter. I always try to say that, man. Numbers matter. It's the reason every single Thursday morning, Tony Khan is right there in front of the computer with 2 coffees waiting for the number to come out. It's the reason the advertisers appear on what shows at what time that they want to appear at. The numbers tell them where to best put their advertisements. It's how these channels and these networks, they make that money. Numbers, man. 1.5. With football. With football. Let's go to new talent, or not new talent. Talent in WWE that is re-signing. They're going to sign some extensions. We expect these individuals within the next week to sign new WWE deals. And I'm also going to talk why this could affect Becky Lynch coming back. If Becky is going to leave WWE, which I highly doubt, or doubted until this point anyway, if she's going to leave, this would be the straw to break the camel's back. This would be that final nudge to boot her out of WWE. We'll talk about that. We'll do that right now. So Sheamus, the big announcement, we knew this for several days, but the official announcement was yesterday. Sheamus re-signing with WWE, the extension. And now it looks like they're trying to lock up several of the ladies from the women's division. Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley, and Nia Jax, all expected to sign extensions within the next week. 2 weeks, I believe, would be max. So again, that's Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley, Nia Jax. What's interesting here is that still no word of Becky Lynch. Last we heard is that Becky was sent a couple of drafts, couple of contracts. She rejected both. At least the 2 that we are aware of. They were not able to dot those I's, cross those T's. Something wasn't adding up. Maybe it was appearances. Maybe it was the final dollar sign, right? How much? Especially after what Mercedes just pulled. Which is ironic because Mercedes used to be, I don't want to say upset, but Mercedes used to be looking up at people like Charlie Flair and Bex, big time Bex, and they were getting the big money. And Mercedes was over there, Sasha Banks, like, what the I should be getting that. And now it's Mercedes cashing in on multi-millions, and it's Becky Lynch holding out and going, hold on. But I bring up Becky because they're not able to lock her in yet. So now they're going after all these female, right? They just brought back Natty, obviously. They got Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley, and Nia Jax on the hook about to sign their extensions. If they're going to sign everybody else, it's almost like WWE is putting themselves into a position where they don't have to hang everything on Becky Lynch's decision. Hey, you want to go to AEW, for instance? Go ahead. How did that work out for Edge? How did that work out for Ospreay when he decided not to go WWE because of travel and moving to the U.S., and so he went AEW. How did that work out for so many individuals? Sasha Banks, unfortunately, right now, right? Even tried and true AEW fans are going, this booking is just not working with Mercedes. So they could be saying, listen, all of these top names went over there and it didn't move the needle. In fact, their rating is going backwards. So go ahead. You're not bigger than WWE. You know, that's their new mentality anyway. How this affects Seth Rollins, right? I'm sure Rollins would not be happy about that, but it wouldn't be the first time that you had a husband and wife or a relationship that was split, right? One of them is in WWE, the other one is in AEW. Like, what was it? Who was it? Who was it? There's a couple of them now, isn't there? Zelina Vega and Malachi Black, for instance. Matthews and Rhea Ripley. I think Miro was already in AEW when Lana was still with WWE, correct? I think they did that. Adam Cole was still WWE, I believe, NXT, when Britt Baker was in AEW, when they were starting out. So there's a lot of them. So, I mean, you know, it's not like, you know, they're still going to be able to coexist, right? Seth and Becky, but I'm sure he wouldn't be too happy that WWE did not do enough to keep Becky Lynch. But that's all. I mean, that's a conversation for another day when we have more info. But something is keeping Becky and WWE from finalizing this deal. So now WWE is just locking down every other female, it seems like. So it's interesting. Would this be the final thing where, they're putting so much money into, because Jax is not going to be cheap. Jax is going to drive a hard bargain. Whether you feel she's deserving of a lot of money or not, Jax is going to drive a hard bargain. Rhea Ripley is now a top star. She's going to get a big increase on this extension. And Liv Morgan is going to see a big increase. She has become a much bigger star than even a year ago. And that's coming off of a long absence. All this money is going to add up. So if Bex thinks that she's going to get more money or she's holding out for more money, the company is telling her, we're giving all that money and we're going to sign multiple people instead of just putting it all into one person and perhaps losing a Rhea Ripley and a Liv Morgan. Anyway, it's good discussion to have. It's interesting to think, why are we not hearing about Becky re-signing, but we are hearing that Morgan, Ripley, Jax, and so many others are already signing extensions. Now, a couple of these, we don't know exactly who, but a couple of these individuals, we're hearing that their contract is not near expiration. So they're actually extending these contracts way ahead of time. Again, is that a message over to Becky Lynch? We're not holding out on you. I hope you're not doing the same for us. Because we're not going to budge. Interesting. So more talents. You're going to hear a lot more about extensions, I think, in the next several weeks. Natty, Sheamus, all of them. That's the beginning. A lot more extensions. They're trying to lock everybody down now and see in 2025 where they're at. I think in 2025, unfortunately, you're going to see a lot of releases. You didn't see that many in 2024. They're trying to look at different avenues that doesn't make the company look bad, like mass releases. So they're trying all these different things. We'll see if it works. If it doesn't, they still need to recoup. From my numbers, Endeavor still needs to recoup $20 to $30 million off their flywheel. Where do you guys think that money's coming from? It's going to be releases. It's talent contracts. That's the most money off the books. Some of these contracts are millions of dollars. So when they see somebody like Bobby Lashley take off and he's on the books for a couple mil, that's a huge saving grace for the company. And it sucks that they didn't see value in Bobby Lashley. They just saw a lot of money that they could keep if they get rid of him. But that's the case. If you ain't going to re-sign somebody like Edge because Edge is going to want a lot of money, you could save $2 to $3 million by just letting this dude go elsewhere and hoping that it doesn't move the needle. And it didn't. Fortunately for WWE, it didn't move the needle. They saw that it didn't work with Edge, so they're going to take the same gamble with Bobby Lashley. We can afford to lose you, and we don't think it's going to hurt us in the long run. No matter where you go, we don't think it's going to make a dent. And we could be seeing it with Becky Lynch. Interesting. I'll keep on top of that, obviously. We've talked a lot of numbers, so let's keep it going. I'll try to keep this one short, but it's about the AEW TV deal, man. We have some specifics, some details on the new deal. Is this considered a success or a failure? Depends on which lens you're viewing it from. Let's talk about it. So AEW's new TV deal is in the ballpark. We're going to get right into it. In the ballpark of $170 million for 4 years. 3 years of that we are hearing is guaranteed. The fourth year will be an option. So it's really only a 3-year deal. I say the same thing about Netflix. I'll get to that in a second. Netflix and Raw, where that's basically 5. 10 is possible. So this is really like a 3-year deal. So it's going to be $510 million guaranteed. If these are the accurate numbers that are made official, right? If these are the numbers that are confirmed, $510 million will be guaranteed over 3 years. 170 times 3, my Steiner math, 370, 440, 510. $510 million. In contrast, because for some reason everybody wants to compare this to WWE's TV deals, I do feel that that's unfair because WWE's been around for decades. So obviously they're going to be in the billions, where AEW is just going to be in the millions. But if you want to contrast, Netflix is paying WWE $500 million per year. So the entire 3-year guaranteed deal for AEW, the entire 3 years, equals out at $500 million, 510. 1 year for WWE Raw already equals all of that, $500 million per year for WWE Raw. And that is for 10 years up front. Netflix is getting Raw for 10 years. However, there's an opt-out after 5 because they know there's a good chance they might not get the return on their investment. They're not going to be happy. So they probably didn't even want to go guaranteed 5. WWE is like, dude, you got to give us something here. We're giving you a 10-year deal and all the leverage is in your court. But they probably didn't even want to give 5 years guaranteed. But 5 years upfront, $500 million a year. So that is $2.5 billion guaranteed to Endeavor, WWE. $2.5 billion. And if Netflix wants to go the next 5, that is 10 years at $500 million a year. That is a $5 billion deal. So that's why I say it's unfair, right? It's apples and oranges, 2 completely different fruits. What are you doing? WWE is pulling in $5 billion on this TV contract. AEW is pulling in $510 million. That's a difference. That is 500, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. That's 10 times what AEW is pulling in. So of course you can't compare the two. It's not even fair for AEW. How you have to look at this as a success or a failure is this finally going to turn a profit for Tony Khan? I don't think 170 is going to do the trick, guys. I don't. To this day, Tony Khan has been very upfront and honest that AEW is not really profiting right now. That's why these TV deals are so important. They at least keep them afloat. But Tony Khan has told us, and we already know anyway, because if you know how to break down numbers, you're seeing that they're not turning a profit. I say it all the time. NXT, guys, even with this new CW deal, NXT has to this day still never turned a profit. They're just staying afloat. At any moment, a station could just go, no, thank you. WWE and Endeavor can just pull the plug on NXT. It's not doing anything for the company. Other than obviously like building town, there's very big things it's doing for the company, but financially, it's actually losing money more than making them money. So same thing with NXT. AEW is just staying afloat right now, and sometimes that's barely. Tony will be the first to tell you. So the TV deal is very important. I don't think 170 is going to do the trick. If you see the cost and the talent contracts that Tony is paying, and all the other revenue that has to go into this beast known as pro wrestling's AEW. If you guys knew how much that cost, you will see that $500 million over the course of 3 to 4 years, it's not as much as you think. And I would not be shocked if it's not even enough to turn a profit yet. They may have to look at other avenues. You guys also have to realize there's other parts to this deal that we don't have confirmation on yet. But we believe like there's events, pay-per-views that will have to go over to like HBO Max. Other stations will be brought in. There's a lot of leverage that Tony Khan is losing in this deal. And once we find out the details on that, it's going to be very alarming. But Tony probably thought that there was no other avenue. He wants to stay with Warner Brothers Discovery. And he knew probably after a while, because this has been dragging out for months, that tells you they were not able to agree. Warner Brothers Discovery probably thought they're just not worth a big deal. Tony Khan was hoping for a lot more. And that's why even Chris Jericho and many have said this should have been done months ago. Jericho was pissed off. He said, we want what we feel we're worth. That he was showing his frustration. This was 2 months ago. So this shows you that I think Tony Khan had a bigger... I think Tony Khan, and this is just speculative, but I believe the number for Tony Khan up front, hoping for more, of course, but probably $250 a year. Probably $250. And Warner Brothers Discovery was like, that's not happening, dude. We're not giving you $750 for 3. And if we pick up that fourth option, then you want $1 billion. I do believe that Tony Khan was looking for the billion, that elusive $1 billion deal, right? To be known as that $1 billion company. And it just doesn't work that way. And that's why it looks like these are not confirmed numbers yet, guys. This is what we are hearing the deal consists of. In the ballpark of $170. Some people are really hijacking that up to like a $200,000 value, but if it stays at the 4 years, you're still roughly $800,000. So you're a couple $100,000 away from $1 billion. But I think Tony really wanted to get that $1 billion. And Warner Brothers Discovery was like, no, it's not happening. And now we could hear that there was a 5th year added, right? And maybe it balloons somehow. Like if AEW does this or hits this milestone, they get like little bonuses. I mean, those are in TV deals for sporting events at times. So maybe there's a chance this balloons to $1 billion. Until we have confirmation on numbers, there's always the chance. But I mean, a lot of people are thinking like, damn, that was so far from WWE. Well, of course. Did you really think that AEW was getting a $5 billion deal or even $1 billion? Wasn't happening. That's not how business works. And if you're pulling in 600 to 700,000 viewers on average, and the network is seeing that you started at 1.4 5 years ago, 6, whatever it was, you started at 1.4, you're less than half of that audience now. And you think they're just going to pay you a boatload more money? I believe what worked out for Tony Khan is the fact that, TNT, TBS, they lost the NBA. And they really wanted to spike up their sporting. So you're at a time where you're trying to hype up sports and do more with sports, and here you are losing your biggest juggernaut, NBA. That was horrible for TNT, TBS, Warner Brothers Discovery. So I think that tremendously helped out Tony Khan. And if the 170 is confirmed, it was probably 150 before that. They probably squeezed out 20 million more because it was like, all right, we gotta have something unique that is sporting-ish because that's what we've been hyping. So at this point, no, we don't want to lose AEW. We're not willing to give too much, but well, I tell you what, we'll give you 20 million extra a year. Who knows? Maybe that was finally what led Tony to say, all right, you have a deal. But we are hearing a deal is done. It's in the ballpark of $170. 3 years guaranteed. 4th year is an option. These are roughly ballpark numbers. So we'll see when it's finally confirmed. But opt-outs, I can speak, are familiar. They're common in these type of deals. Again, even Netflix has an opt-out after 5 years. So WWE is either going to get 2.5 or they're going to get $5 billion. Sometimes it's like Nick Khan who wants out of the deal because he feels that they're undervalued. He said that when Fox gives the $1 billion to WWE, and after like 6 months, Nick Khan is like, we feel that we're undervalued. So we're going to ask for more when the next deal comes around. That probably pissed off Fox from the beginning. Fox is like, what are you talking about? You're not even pulling in big numbers. We were hoping for we're broadcast television. We were hoping for 3 million on average. You're barely producing 2 million. Anyway, good discussion. BC, but BC, when we're talking numbers and statistics, metrics, I can go on for hours. So I have to remind myself. I don't want to confuse you guys or bore you guys with numbers. It's like being in math class, right? Everybody is asleep. BC's like trying to do all the math equations. I'm all into it. I don't know why, man. I was always into numbers. So that's the deal on that. All right. So we went over Hiku possibly debuting, AEW's new TV deal. We went over new extensions within WWE and the Raw ratings. So let's get to NXT's review, man. I'm actually excited. I got to see an NXT show for the majority of it anyway. In totality, I would say I caught about 90% bare minimum, and I took I did my due diligence, did some notes for you guys. So I'm going to give you my thoughts, man. We'll go over the results and my thoughts on NXT for 9/17/24. NXT taken over by CM Punk. And damn, some explosive segments, man, with Rok-C and Ethan Page, all ego. So NXT, we start off with Ava, middle of the ring. Dwayne Johnson's daughter, still the GM. She's hyping up the big move to the CW. Trick Williams is out for his contract signing, followed by All Ego. Williams speaks briefly on his recent feud with PD Dunne. And I love this line. I had to put this in my notes. Before he turns his attention to Ethan Page, he just talked because he's been in this little feud with Pete Dunne. So Williams says, and I quote, "One thing we learned is Pete Dunne ain't nothing but a butch." That popped BC, bro. Instead of he ain't nothing but a different B word. He said, what we learned is Pete Dunne ain't nothing but a butch. Because he used to be, I don't know, it popped BC, man. So that went into the notes. All Ego Ethan Page, like I said, is out next. A fierce promo right in the face of Williams. Like, Williams was like seated next to Ava at the contract signing table, and All Ego is standing up, leaning over the table, and just basically spitting in the face of Williams. I mean, he was amplified in that promo. So then Trick gets up, goes around the table, says a few words to Ethan Page, and Ethan is out of words, or he just doesn't want to talk anymore. Kicks Trick Williams right in the gut, and then sends Williams through the contract signing table. So through the table goes Trick Williams. And I love how this segment ended, because before All Ego leaves the ring, he turns to Ava and sincerely, not on the microphone, that's what I love about it, right? It was supposed to be like a spontaneous thing. And he turns to Ava and he says, "This place is falling apart with you as GM." And and Ava's just like, so All Ego is not happy with Ava's decisions. You could do so much with that. You could really carry way past All Ego and Trick Williams' feud, way past that. You can add layers to Ava and Ethan Page, and that could be a real little mini war that sets up Ava sending in top talent to take on All Ego. You could just do so much with it. Again, I get so creative with it. I just realized once again I have 2 pens. I'm ready to, right after this week, I'm going to get creative, man. I'm going to write off NXT shows, send them over to Shawn Michaels. But yeah, that was very well done. And Vic Joseph, when the segment comes to an end, Vic Joseph mentions how nobody actually signed the contract. So that alludes to, we're probably going to keep going back to that throughout the night, and we did. Several segments where Ava is trying to think of a way to get the contract signed. Tyrese Halliburton for the Indiana Pacers ended up getting this contract signed at the end of the night. We'll go over that in a minute, or a few minutes. First matchup of the night was Lyra Valkyria and Tatum Paxley versus Wendy Chu and Rosemary. Valkyria pins Rosemary. I'm not sure what main roster talent Valkyria is helping out with here. I don't know. Like, why is Val the one to get the ultimate pinfall? Rosemary's looking up at the lights. I just feel like if you want Val to be on the winning team, that's fine. Just have Tatum Paxley. I think Tatum winning this for the team, that would have done more for NXT, TNA, everything they have going on, right? Tatum Paxley could, NXT, TNA, all of that could benefit more because Tatum Paxley is staying there, right? Tatum Paxley's not going to the main roster to duke it out with Nia Jax or anybody anytime soon. A Michin, a Zelina Vega. No, Tatum Paxley is most likely staying right around there. She'll flop around and at TNA, NXT. Why is Valkyria even on NXT? That was odd. And I love Val, by the way. Such a beautiful lady, really good in the ring, such a bright future. But it was odd to see her a part of this show. Like, what are you doing? That's main roster now. And to have her win is just to show everybody, see, the main roster, man, nobody to mess with. Well, what is that doing for TNA? For NXT or TNA? What is that doing for Tatum Paxley, Wendy Chu, Rosemary? Main roster Valkyria showed up and won the match. What does that do for NXT? And you guys know, man, this is coming from somebody who was very high on Val. It was just odd to me. Next up, NXT's Tony D versus TNA's Hammerstone. The Don walks out of the match and subsequently gets counted out. He's distraught. The family is trying to ask, what's up? What's wrong? Why did you walk out? Why'd you get counted out? Tony D is not interested in entertaining any questions. He actually walks out on not just Hammerstone in the match, he walks out on his own fam. And this was pretty well done because you go backstage a couple more times and he's distraught. The fam is there for him, trying to get answers. And he opens up. He says, I'm supposed to be the leader of the family, this and that. And the truth is, I can't beat Hammerstone. He's a freak, a beast. There's no beating him. I just can't do it. And he's distraught is the only word I can use. And he walks off again backstage. So then later in the night, there was a really good segment, like a heartfelt. You thought you were watching like a Sopranos episode with Carmella and Tony Soprano. But it was Tony D and Adriana. And Adriana is just like this heartfelt. It is Adriana, correct? Because that was also a big character in the Sopranos. So I always get them mixed up. But Ariana is Ariana Grace. That's little Santino Marella. Adriana, I'm going to stick with that. Adriana, and I just love hearing her talk. Old school Italian as BC is anyway. I can listen to her talk for about 2-3 hours at a time. And she's trying to pump up the self-esteem of Tony D. And it was just you thought you were just watching a scene from Sopranos. It was so well done. So I like all of that. All of that was really cool with Tony D and Hammerstone, man. And you would believe, if you ever saw Hammerstone, you would believe that Tony D might just want to collect the paycheck and maybe not get beat up. We go Zachary Wentz promo on Wes Lee. That's setting up, I believe that's a street fight for the debut on the CW network. I believe Wentz versus Wes Lee. Eddie Thorpe defeated Ashante the Adonis. Vic Joseph says it's a big win for Eddie Thorpe. And Booker T says put the rocket on him. So again, I'm going to say that again. Eddie Thorpe defeats the Adonis. And Joseph is calling this a big win. I'm like, hold on, pump the brakes. Big win. It's the Adonis. You're acting like Eddie Thorpe just defeated even a Rey Mysterio. Or even Chad Gable. It's the Adonis, man. If the Adonis was booked correctly, much respect to Adonis, but if he's booked correctly, then maybe it would be a big win. But Booker T taking it a step further and going, put the rocket on Eddie Thorpe. Pump the brakes. Much respect to Eddie Thorpe, bright future personified, absolutely. But just book him correctly right now. Get the fans more engaged and captivated, more than just his whoop, whoop, whoop. If you guys don't watch NXT, you don't know. That's his entrance, right? He throws up the hand and the crowd goes, whoop, whoop. And then after that, it's kind of like, all right, it's Eddie Thorpe. So get fans more interested, intrigued, captivated. And maybe in the future, we can start the conversation of putting a piece of the rocket on him. But after beating the Adonis and Booker going, put the rocket on him, pump the brakes, no. Do not put a rocket on Eddie Thorpe yet. Book him correct, book him good, yeah, okay. I just couldn't believe how much they were pumping up Eddie Thorpe. BC, that's their job, pump up the guy, okay. But if you're putting the rocket on Eddie Thorpe over many other individuals that should be getting the rocket put on him, BC has to question that. That was the end of hour number 1. Hour number 2 begins the CM Punk festivities, and damn were they festive. Not for everybody anyway. Rok-C, man. Rok-C with one of the promos of her career. Rok-C, and she's cutting that promo on CM Punk, man, and she cut one of the promos of her career. Let's talk about it. Hour 2, CM Punk starts the hour. Rok-C comes to the ring, interrupts CM Punk because he was about to talk about what he's going to be doing on the debut show of NXT on CW. But before he can tell everybody, Rok-C comes out. She says, oh, sorry to interrupt your big announcement. She says, this was a quote, by the way. Rok-C says, 13-year-old me would be freaking out right now standing next to CM Punk. And BC had to laugh at that because I was thinking, wait, 13-year-old, that was only like 7 or 8 years ago. So, like, she doesn't have to look that far back. That's how young Rok-C is. I think she's only like 22, maybe 22 tops, maybe even just 21, maybe 20. I don't even know, but I know, like, when she said 13-year-old me would be freaking out, I was like, wait, that wasn't too long ago. And then she says, I always this was great. She looks at Punk and she says, but I always preferred your wife, though. I always preferred your wife more. And this ignites like this huge AJ Lee chant. Even CM Punk had to look at the crowd. It was a pretty good chant. And the way Rok-C delivered that too, she kind of turns around and just gives that little, like, that look to CM Punk, a little blush look. I always preferred AJ Lee more. It was almost like double toned, right? Like, I always preferred her more as a wrestler or something else. The way she was looking at Punk, I don't know, man. But that was another really good line. Sparked a huge AJ Lee chant. Rok-C then delivers her best line. She says, after waiting 10 years for you to come back to WWE, I realized something. I should have been a Drew McIntyre fan. A huge damn from the crowd. A massive what from BC. I was like, she did not. She said, after waiting 10 years for you to come back to WWE, I realized something. I should have been a Drew McIntyre fan. That was awesome. Drew McIntyre later on the social doohickey machine actually said, very proud of you to Roxanne Perez, Rok-C. But that was really good, man. Punk responds. He says, I like this. No. He says, I like this, right? Man, Roxanne, she's showing she got balls. Roxanne's got balls. And she also has a huge chip on her shoulder. He says, I used to have a chip. And it was bigger than the size of you, right? What was the line he said? He says, I used to have one of those chips on my shoulder. It was the size of you because, Rok-C is bite-sized. She's fun-sized. Like, the Halloween candy, Rok-C. And I love Rok-C, one of my favorites in the industry. But she's fun-sized, bite-sized. Pint-sized, that's it. So he says the chip was the size of you and that chip made me the best in the world. It's almost like a little bit, even though all the rude things that were said to Punk is still trying to have this teachable moment. Giulia then comes to the ring. Giulia tells Rok-C, you have 2 weeks. That's it. Like, you can talk all the time. You have 2 weeks. She goes to turn around. Rok-C goes to belt Giulia with the championship title to the back of the Giulia's dome piece, but CM Punk stops her, gets one arm. Beautifully done. Giulia realizes it. She could have been out. Not looking up at the lights, out face first in the canvas. CM Punk saved Giulia, right? That teachable moment is, no, Rok-C, you're going to do this the right way. You talk the game, now see are you better than Giulia? Or is Giulia going to get the better of you? But you're not going to pelt her with a belt to the back of the dome piece. CM Punk was not going to allow that, not in his presence. So Rok-C is furious at Punk, but she's also furious at Giulia. Giulia's pissed off now. They're bickering. CM Punk is in the middle of them. Pretty well done. I think the crowd was expecting a little bit more, so they're a little quiet at the end of the segment, but I thought it was well done. All of that, guys, such a good segment with no physicality. That's the key. All of that was done. You didn't even have to get physical between these two. Wait, CW is in a couple of weeks. That's when you're going to get Giulia and Rok-C. And now, right, I actually had to put this in my notes too, because it's obvious. Now we have to get AJ Lee versus Rok-C in the future. After that, Rok-C has been antagonizing this AJ Lee matchup. She has been in interviews, social doohickey machine, you name it. She has been talking about AJ Lee, and that's the match she wants. Before her career ends, she wants a match with AJ Lee. Well, now that was part of live television. We gotta, man. I don't care if it's WrestleMania or a Saturday night's main event. AJ Lee versus Rok-C. Book it, somebody. Shawn Michaels, Hunter Hearst Helmsley, Ari Emanuel, right? CEO or president, whatever, of Endeavor. Somebody book this. AJ Lee, Rok-C. Just throw AJ Lee a boatload of money and let's do this, man. Cedric Alexander and Javon Evans win a tag match. Post-match, it's announced that Evans will be taking on Randy Orton on October 8th. NXT on CW, week number 2. This will be the second show on CW, so they really want to keep the momentum from week 1, which is huge, by the way. Trick Williams and Ethan Page for the title, Rok-C and Giulia. CM Punk is playing a huge role. We'll get to that in a couple minutes. So week 2, they're going to have Randy Orton not just on the show, but in action against Evans. And you know Evans is going to take a wild RKO, brah. Just think about the RKO that how athletic he is. This dude's going to be doing 17 spins in the air right into an RKO or something. That's going to be fun. Imagine, you imagine that RKO? We got Brooks Jensen versus Leon Lennox. Full disclosure, the Yankee game had just begun at this time. It was a West Coast game. So that means it's a 9:30 start time on the East Coast. So I had to catch the complete first inning of the Yankee game. So I have no clue who won or what happened in this matchup. That is just full honesty. Could I have looked it up before this recording? Absolutely. But it's Brooks Jensen versus Leon Lennox. No, I'm not spending an extra minute looking that up. All my free time right now is going to this upload for you guys, man. And I'm sure, hopefully anyway, my right-hand man on the channel, JR9 Gaming, will have his NXT report in the comments below. So hopefully he will have you guys up to date with that matchup. Maybe. Or maybe JR9 Gaming also skipped that match, right? Maybe nothing happened. The main event in terms of wrestling, not the final segment of the night, but the main event, wrestling-wise, was, I guess you could call this wrestling, man. It was like 2 minutes, if even. JC Jane of Fatal Influence versus Lola Vice and Lola's astounding assets. Lola, bro, damn. Lola defeats JC in legit 2 minutes. Flat pinfall, and JC is looking up at the lights. Speaking of, just a second ago, my right-hand man on the channel, JR9 Gaming, I don't know if he's too happy about that, man. JC Jane is one of his faves. Always is calling for better booking of JC, sees a lot in JC. That was probably not how you want to book JC Jane, man. 2 minutes flat, done. Lola Vice absolutely handled her like she was a straight Brooklyn Brawler jobber. That was right. Like, I had a sip of coffee and accidentally blinked and JC was out. That was wild. Post-match, the Influence attacks Lola. You know, they're not happy with the decision, obviously. This brings out Jada Parker and her ass sets. Jada Parker is so beautiful. What the hell, man? I don't know if I can handle Lola and Jada in the same ring. That is just too much beauty. And they're so voluptuous. All right, get it under control, BC. Jada Parker's out there. And what she with those pants? Hey, any day. Throw them on. Absolutely. Jada Parker, man. That was wild. And she's badass, too. So she went in there. I don't know. She didn't really go in there to save Lola Vice. She just is handling her own business with the Influence. And this clears out the heels. So Lola then turns Parker around because it's like, I don't want your help. Like, you know, like Lola is like, get out of here. Like, what are you doing? She turns Parker around. Parker immediately swings. Like, Parker is saying that she didn't know who it was. I just got turned around, so I'm swinging. So Lola's like, oh, you were going to hit me? And Jada's like, dude, I didn't know who it was. You look at everybody around here that I just had to take out. And you're swinging me around, putting your hands on me? What are you doing? Damn right, I'll smack you upside the dome piece. So then they start going at it. Suits and ties, or at least officials. They all start flooding from the back, separating Lola and Jada. So, yeah, Vice is pissed, and the two just verbally unload on one another as officials break it up, is what I put in my notes. So, interesting, man. Lola and Jada. Now, I'm interested in that for sure, because I don't know. I see bright futures for both. I don't know what this does. It's kind of like, for Fatal Influence, it's the same problem that what are they called? PFC? Pure Fiction Fusion? PFF? Pure Catastrophe Fusion? PC? What are they called, man? Pure Calamity Fusion? What the fuck is that name? Pure Friction PFC, right? Pure Flooded Confusion? What is their name? This is gonna be a 2-hour upload now because I am not cutting this. We are not changing this in edit. We are gonna come up with this, man. Pure what? Pure Collective. Pure something collective. Pure Fusion Collective. Oh, that was gonna bug me, man. That was gonna bug me. I think it's Pure Fusion Collective. Anyway, it's the same thing. Their problem on the main roster. Like, look at their booking. Like, what are they doing? They're getting triple tapped out last week on Raw. Well, Sonya was about to, right? But Zoe and Shayna were tapping out like they could not tap out quick enough. It was a triple sharpshooter. Triple submission. That's how you're booking Pure Fusion. And then this week on Raw, you have Natty defeating, was it Sonya Deville? Natty is just winning via fruit roll-up, I believe. I mean, Pure Fusion is absolute jokes already. And when they debuted, they were out healing Damage Control, right? But it was clear they had no plan for them. So now they're just doing the job to the returning Natty and her Booyakas. So it's the same thing for NXT. I kind of see Fatal Influence as just a group that's just supposed to linger around and pump up the faces that they need pumped up. I don't see how this type of booking is going to help Fatal Influence at all. They just look like a forgettable group. Final segment of the night. And it involved an Indiana Pacer. Ew. Where's my New York Knicks now, man? Where's Jalen now? So the final segment of the night, Tyrese Halliburton of the Indiana Pacers overseeing the second attempt at getting Trick Williams and Ethan Page to sign their contract. Signatures are established, and Tyrese says, oh, and one more thing. CM Punk's music then is ignited throughout the not the arena. What is it? I mean, throughout the performance center. the gymnasium. But CM Punk's music is hit, and Punk comes to the ring, and he says this match needs something special. It needs a special referee. It needs me, he says. So at that point, he says, oh, and by the way, you gentlemen, you can start fighting right now. And so Trick lays into Ethan. Ethan's glasses go right off his fucking mug. They start brawling. You have officials flood out from the back. They're breaking up Page and Trick Williams. And while they're breaking them up, right in the middle of them, but in the background, you see CM Punk just smiling like he's loving this. The crowd is chanting, let them fight, let them fight. And CM Punk starts leading the chant. He's got his fist pumped up. Let them fight. Let them fight. CM Punk is leading the chant in the background with a smile as Page and Williams are absolutely flipping out on one another. We fade to black and we go off the air with Page and Trick completely losing it. Losing their dome pieces. To the point where Ethan is so furious, he's spitting at Trick Williams. Because he's just that furious. And Trick is bringing it right back. Punk's in the background smiling. Fight, let them fight is being sounded off. And that's how we faded to black. I thought that was a very, very good finish. And a good job of pumping up the CW last night. Very good. So, CM Punk, man. He ignited that fire in Ethan Page. That Ethan Page I have not seen in a long time, if ever. I don't know if I've ever seen that Ethan Page, man. And he ignited Trick Williams, man. It's very rare you see Trick that furious. I don't even recall him in Mello in that feud, like him that furious, man. Like CM Punk ignited them, and he ignited that need to see Rok-C and AJ Lee now, or is it? You could say Rok-C ignited that. But I just thought both segments that CM Punk was a part of, damn, those were the most memorable parts of this NXT show. CM Punk came in, he ignited some fires, and he took off. He showed up to the party, created the chaos, flipped everybody off, and turned and left. CM Punk ignited the fire. That's a good thumbnail. You know what? I think that'll be the thumbnail. CM Punk ignites the fire. I like it. Now, where do I go? Do I put Ethan Page and Trick Williams as the thumbnail? Or do I go Rok-C Giulia as the thumbnail with Punk? I think I'm leaning more toward Ethan and Trick, because that's an iconic shot of Ethan and Trick. All ego and Williams, and you have CM Punk in the background with that smirk. That's the shot. Anyway, guys, that's NXT. CM Punk took over that show, and they have promoted big time. It's going to be hard not to catch this show on October 1st. The move to CW, they stacked it. 2 big championship matches and a CM Punk to boot. Miz will be on that show. Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair, Grayson Waller, Austin Theory, and a lot more. They're going to have a lot of special guests we're hearing, like in the front row, like they usually do. There's going to be a lot of main roster talent, some celebrities, probably like D and E-list celebrities, but some musicians you probably never heard of. But they're going to put a lot into it. Shawn Michaels, maybe Helmsley will probably start it, right? Are you ready? Guys, that's what I got for you on this extended version of the Amped Up Podcast. Wednesday, September 18, 2024. Hopefully you guys not just enjoyed it, but were captivated by it. Hopefully a lot of knowledge dropped while being entertained in the process. Until next time, and there will be that next time. Top guys, we're out. BC in the unit saying, check you.